What's going on, guys? Welcome to the 4th edition of the Gamefall Podcast. I'm Kyle Sherman. This right here is John McVeigh.
Hey, everybody.
And we are through the craziness, the excitement, the insanity. I like saying crazy in two different ways there, of E3. And now we're going Christmas in June.
Yeah.
For the gamers of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're going to get into more of our, I guess, meat and potatoes, sort of what you can expect from the Gamefall Podcast from week to week. And that is us going through a couple news items, whatever we think might be important, and then we will get into one big topic of the week. This week is one that I know you and I have wanted to discuss, and I mean we've discussed between each other quite a bit, and that is the gloriousness that is God of War.
Exactly. It's an excellent game.
But before we get to God of War,
first,
it's time to get into our, I guess, news stories of the day. And just, it's obviously a slow time for news, just coming off the heels of E3. But that doesn't mean there's not anything out there. And I wanted to start with, I guess, the big thing that came out. Today we're filming this here on Thursday. Mm-hmm. You won't see this until Monday.
No.
But that is Xbox and Nintendo kind of announcing that crossplay between Minecraft,
Rocket League,
Fortnite. And Fortnite. Those are the big three. There's more, but
there's a few more.
Maybe
some more in the future as well.
Concerted effort between those two companies.
If you want to see something
to allow their users to play together.
Speaking of Minecraft, if you bought Minecraft on the Switch before, you'll kind of notice if you looked at the eShop, there was another version of Minecraft, and it was like another $30, and I was like, well, I'm not paying for that. That's actually the version, in theory, that's supposed to work with Xbox no problem. And if you bought Minecraft before, don't worry. You go into the eShop today, it's a free download. So you're covered. You can just re-download Minecraft again, which I just did. So
yeah, which is great because it would be a little ridiculous to, I guess, expect people to pay for it.
It's literally the exact same game. They just
some updates to allow crossplay between the platforms.
Exactly.
Which is great. So I think that's awesome. I know you and I are both big PlayStation fans and what they've done and stuff like that, and
I'd say
it's disappointing, I guess, that they're not
exclusive fans. We like their games.
Yes. I mean, it was the exclusives that drew us to the platform.
Yeah.
I also like the controller a lot better now than the Xbox controller.
Oh my gosh.
That's a whole other subject.
The PlayStation 4 controller is way better. The other ones sucked.
Yeah, and so I was a long-time believer in the Xbox controller until
it was the one to beat.
Until the DualShock 4. The Xbox controller far superior to the DualShock 3.
Yes.
And 2.
No question.
And 1, and the original non-DualShock PlayStation controller, but which I still have 2 of.
The original Xbox controller is better than any of those.
Oh, the big one, the giant one.
Yes.
I was a fan of that. I have big hands, so it was never an issue for me.
I liked it because it had the black and white button, and the white button was the flashlight, which just makes sense.
Smart. Don't have those anymore. Now you have the shoulder buttons, the bumpers, if you will.
Those got rid of they replaced the black and white button.
But you know what? We're not done talking about Nintendo, John.
No.
News item number dos.
A little bit of a warning for you people who like to, I guess, not purchase things.
Get less than authentic copies of video games. Let's just say it that way.
Nintendo
is now permanently banning Switch users with illegal games from online play. And there's still, this story isn't completely flushed out yet, but it's
still a little confusing.
It's emerging, but essentially, from my understanding, and you and I each kind of came at it from a different angle, the gist of it's going to be the same no matter which way you look at it. That is, if you are not playing authentic games that you purchased
either from the store or
from the eShop.
From the eShop digitally or from your mom and grop shop, as some other people like to say.
You will not be able to play online, and it will could potentially get you permanently banned. account
You'll
shut
at least
down.
be banned from that game.
At least.
At the bare minimum.
If not,
and then they have
completely
the option
from online play.
with one banning of one game to ban your entire Nintendo account. Now, a lot of people are saying, how can they figure that out for the cartridge-based games, which I didn't even know you could make illegal copies and physically put them on cartridges. That seems rather expensive to me, because there's a switch tax for the cartridge. If you'll recall, it usually bumps up games by $10.
People will still find a way to do things.
Yeah, exactly. I guess if you live where there's no internet.
Somebody went to a distributor, whoever makes those cartridges for Nintendo, and bought a bunch.
Bought a buttload.
That's my theory. But so yeah, security certificates on the games that are very difficult to copy and at least authentically.
And there's several certifications in the games themselves.
Multiple, yes. And those are nearly impossible to copy, so Nintendo will know immediately. So, moral of the story is, if you have a less than authentic copy of a game, do not play it online, but better yet, just buy a real copy. Developers work hard. You know, if you're enjoying their product, give them some love, give them your money.
You already bought a Switch, so why not just go the next step and use the eShop?
But if you want these games to continue to come out, it's the the way it's going to work. If they're not making money off these games, they're not going to continue to make them.
If you don't want to buy them full price, there's a handy for sale tab on the eShop. Just scroll right down there, see what's for sale. It has every game that's on sale, and they change every week. Another thing people were wondering is, how are they figuring out how to check these on the game cards? If you buy a game card, you can get Nintendo rewards from the game card. So Nintendo already had a way to check to make sure you bought a legal copy, and it's a one-time use. You can't, if I redeem the rewards for the cartridge, Kyle can't redeem the same rewards from that same cartridge. So, and the rewards are points, which is excellent. You get coins basically, and those coins can be directly to reduce the purchase price of your next game, and you can stack them up till you have 10, 20, maybe you buy a game just off the points alone. $60 game will give you 300 coins, which is $3. So that's roughly how that translates out.
And one more piece here of gaming news for the week, and that is, I guess, the official announcement of when the sort of Life is Strange universe set, the Awesome Adventures of Captain Spirit, and that's official release dates. I guess we did go through the release date for that before, which is June 25th here in the US, but I guess now it's come out, the release dates worldwide. The big one, it's June 25th in North America and Europe, June 26th in Australia. I mean, those are the big ones. You can get it for free, which is awesome.
It's probably due to time zones.
And a couple new details about the game as well. You're going to be playing as a 10-year-old boy named Chris, who takes on the name of the title hero, the Captain Spirit, if you will.
Is this like a fictional comic book guy in Chris's fictional version of...
I think it's a hero of his own creation.
Hero of his own creation?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and there's a couple more details about the game. So, choices that you make will obviously affect him, but it will also affect the events in some way. They haven't said how much so, of the upcoming Life is Strange 2.
So
this will have some bearing on that.
They'll be checking see if you played the game, see what big choices you made. Yeah.
So I think that's kind of fun. I hope it's just a small amount, that way you can't completely
really
destroy your universe before you
I would actually think that was awesome. Because then you got a game over for the next game you buy and you didn't even realize it. That would be hilarious. Really frustrating.
Hilarious if you're on the outside looking in, not so much if it's ruining your game and the way you're trying to play it. So, but I mean, I think that's cool that they're going to try to link all these Life is Strange universe set games together, and they're going to have bearing on how each other play out. So,
kind of like
haven't played the original Life is Strange. I think I have it somewhere.
Kind of like The Walking Dead, only running way better.
Hopefully. Hopefully it will.
Hopefully. I'm sure it will. I think lots of games run way better than those.
Yeah, I guess it's tough to run worse.
That's true.
Much worse, and still function. So, those are, I guess, the big gaming news that I had for the week. But One other subject that I wanted to talk about here, and I feel like this goes beyond games, and obviously that's our focus, but it was a story that hit close to home.
Near and dear to Kyle's wallet.
Near and dear to me and my wallet. And that is, I guess, twofold. The introduction of AMC for their new Stubbs Premium.
It's a movie pass tier from AMC, which is higher than their highest tier that they already have, which was premium. So it's the AMC version of the movie pass.
Yes.
Take it away.
Well, I guess the bad news is it's $20 a month, which obviously is twice the price.
Do you have to pay it up front?
Yes.
For the whole year.
Oh, they haven't. I don't think so. I believe it's still a month-to-month sort of thing. There is. I remember now. It's a 3-month commitment initially. So $60.
It's not bad.
To get in. You get to see 3 movies a week. But the good news is that it works for any 3D, IMAX, or any of those different tiers that they have there at the AMC theaters, and it works at obviously any AMC theater nationwide.
I think you're also leaving one of the other big news items.
And what is that?
You can reserve seats ahead of time.
Yes.
And not the day of, but before that.
Unlike the
movie pass.
Yes.
It's got to be the same day.
Certain theaters you can do it with, but yeah, AMC you'll be able to book ahead. 3 movies a week, and I believe you can see repeat showings. At least they haven't said you can't see repeats.
You can see repeats.
Which is one thing that really frustrates me.
They did clarify, you can see repeats.
So that's awesome. Unfortunately for me, I live on the opposite side of town as the AMC theater. And plus the cost is, unless you're going to see a lot of movies, which I was seeing 1 a week usually with the movie pass.
Even if you're seeing 1 a week with the AMC pass, you're going to cover your expenditures.
You're not making your money back in one go, though, like you were with the movie pass. But, that's all cool. But and they'll still accept the movie pass at the AMC theaters, but obviously there's the hiccups. And that gets me to my next thing. So that's cool. AMC coming out with their own thing. We know that they've butted heads with movie pass for a long time, and they haven't liked that model. So now they're rolling out their own one. Cool. We'll see how it does, and if AMC continues to, they can profit off of this better than movie pass has been able to. Obviously twice the price, so there's a little bit more margin for error,
and it's exclusively to AMC.
Yes. So I would not be shocked to see Regal roll out with one very, very soon.
Oh, I'm sure.
Also, the AMC one will be a digital card attached to an app as opposed to MoviePass where you have to have your own debit card, essentially.
Which is why you can reserve in advance.
Yes. Which takes us to what I was mainly wanting to talk about, and that is MoviePass announced another change to the way they're doing things. Beyond the now, can only see each movie once.
How many changes are they going to do?
And that is a surge pricing for select films.
Of course.
Which, we introduced John's rants before. And this is going to be my first, real rant. And so essentially the story is that MoviePass now, if it is a big blockbuster type film, they're going to maybe introduce this surge pricing where you're going to have to pay $2 extra to see this movie. Maybe the first week it's out for a certain set amount of time. They haven't really said what yet. So that means, I'm guessing, any sort of Marvel movie in the future, any sort of Star Wars movie in the future, Jurassic Park, if it was, coming out. And this is going to start in July, by the way.
Yeah, so they're missing the Jurassic Park opportunity, Jurassic World, but
it's not the only change. So that's the big one. They are going to start allowing 3D movies, but you're going to have to pay extra, $2 to $6 extra for that sort of thing.
2 to 6?
They have not settled on a price yet, or it depends on the theater. They haven't announced it universally yet, I guess, what their plan is. But what I want to talk about was the surge pricing. I signed up for MoviePass this last winter. I was,
Did you have to pay that whole thing up front?
I did not pay a year's thing. I signed up for the monthly.
So I tried to sign up, and they may have changed it recently, but I tried to sign up a couple months ago. They wouldn't let me do a monthly. I had to pay for the whole year, and they said, over the year, it's like paying $10 a month. And I was like, well, I'm not signing up then. Because I'm not going to fork over.
And also, this, I guess, price increase will not affect those who signed up for paid-a-year subscription. Only those like me who are month-to-month. And this is, I guess, sort of what I wanted to rant about. And like, this is...
That's malarkey, is what that is.
It's BS, to be frank. And I really have enjoyed it. And I used it every week, essentially, for about 10 straight weeks before I got either busy or when I was moving and that sort of stuff. And I was able to see a lot of movies. But I like to go to movies on weekdays when there's not a ton of people there. And it's like, I get it if it's the weekend. You want to, I guess, not have it be crazy. I could be a little understanding, but if it's the entire first week that the movie's out, it's like, if I want to go on Wednesday, why are you going to charge me extra to see a new movie? I don't want to have to... And
the prices are already reduced during the week anyway.
Yeah, and so, you know, with the news that AMC is coming out with theirs, which seems to be very flexible, it's like, if things keep going this way with the Movie Pass, I'm going to be willing to pay extra money to AMC to use theirs if it functions easy. I can reserve my seat in advance, and I get reward points.
Oh, and
not on the ticket sale, but anything else, you still get your reward points.
The Stubbs card's great.
Yes, you have a Stubbs card. I do not, because I did not have an AMC theater where I lived. I have the Regal one, which is nice. I can double up my points. I get the Movie Pass points.
The Regal Pass is also good.
But it's just... They're trying to find a way to make money off of this. And I get that that's not working. But holy...
Wait a second. A company's trying to make money?
Yes. And I understand that. And I understand that you have to do your best. But holy shit. And this is... I'm going to be using my cursing for the episode right here.
Warning.
I'm not going to go off the rails.
When he's done.
Not going to go off the rails. But it's super frustrating. Certain movies I want to see multiple times.
Yeah.
I wanted to see, you know, Avengers, Infinity War multiple times. And guess what? I couldn't. It was the first movie where they blacked out the ability to have repeat viewings.
Conveniently.
So luckily I had enough points on my, you know, Regal Crown Club to go see it a second time for free.
Exactly.
But I don't want to have to do that. And it's like, they're talking about, you know, people selling tickets and stuff like that. It's like, man, do you not know how this works? Like, you have to have a card and like...
I find it hard that people are selling tickets.
Really stupid, and I don't think it's accurate. I think they're just trying to limit their amount of money that they're losing. Because there was somebody, I know that out there, that watched Infinity War 40 times, and if he had had a Movie Pass, he might have driven them to bankruptcy. But it's... And I get that you're trying to make money, but this is the model you promised, and you can't just keep changing on it. You're going to alienate customers. You're going to lose customers, because if you continue to make these changes and make it harder and harder for me to use your product, I'm going to be willing to pay a little bit extra money to make it easier on me so I can do everything that I want to do.
So they have like...
I'll drive further to go to AMC.
Over 2 million customers right now?
Yeah,
I guarantee you they did not sign up for your service because they wanted to have extra charges.
Oh yeah, now I have to take pictures of my movie stubs after I do it, so they know that I went to the right movie. Well guess what? I can take a picture and then walk into the wrong theater still. So that's pointless. Yeah, maybe I buy a ticket for some movie I don't want to see and I go watch The Avengers again. Maybe I go watch, you know, Star Wars again. Just paying for, you know, things we used to do as kids. At least I did. I don't know what John did.
I was goody two-shoes. I didn't go see extra movies.
How did you see R-rated films before you were of age?
Oh... Yeah, so they would be played on the television with the commercials, you know? This was like before YouTube. And so my older sister let us watch Bad Boys 2. I think that's the only R-rated movie I've ever seen before I was 17 and allowed to see him.
You lived a sheltered life.
Jurassic Park, we had to rewind back to the Brachiosaurus when before the arm thing fell down.
That was PG-13. That wasn't rated
R.
R.
But I wasn't 13 yet, so I wasn't allowed to watch all of the film.
Oh my goodness.
So, from the outside looking in on this dire situation that is the cheapness of not so cheap Movie Pass, I feel like the company backed themselves into a corner the first time, and I feel like the canary in the coal mine was AMC when they were saying, we're not going to support this at the very beginning. And that is, AMC looked at their pricing and what they were basically delivering, which was gold on a platter to customers. I mean, $10 a month, any movie you want, every day, come on. That's lunacy. Of course, you're going to get 2
You
million
can
people
still
to
go
sign
see
up
a
for
movie
that.
every day, but you can only see
How
each
many
movie once.
How many movies are in a
it's not gonna
theater?
happen.
There's not 30. I don't know where you live, but where I live, there's maybe 14.
I was going to say, unless you live in like a big city with a lot of theaters, especially ones that like to maybe show the smaller indie films, we don't live in a city like that.
And are all those theaters supported by MoviePass?
No, but a good amount probably. do support it, but it's frustrating, I guess. And I'd almost rather pay $20 to AMC. It's like, hey, at least I know you're going to stick with this, at least for the time being. And it's like, it's within your own thing. So, the price isn't necessarily, paying twice as much. So I'd still want to see a movie every week.
But are you going to see like 10 every week?
No, absolutely not.
Would 3 seem reasonable?
3 is absolutely reasonable. I mean, 1 a week is fine with me. But it's just like, instead of, I guess, restricting us from seeing each movie once, maybe give us MoviePass. I'd rather have them be like, okay, you can see 3 movies a week. But you can see whatever you want. Mm-hmm. You can have repeat viewings. Because it's like, I don't want to see every movie that comes out. Usually it's about 1 per week that I'm interested in. But sometimes a movie like The Avengers, it's a lot to take in. There's a lot that happens in that film.
There's some stuff
and I want to see it
and
multiple times. Movies like Deadpool 2.
Amazing.
Loved it. Hilarious. Watched it on my own, and then I watched it with you when I came back.
It was great.
But I had to pay for it the second time.
Yeah.
Or your wife had to pay for it, I guess, is what ended up happening.
Something
like that. Somebody had to pay for it when they didn't have to.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have had to. So those sorts of things frustrate me, and I'd almost rather see MoviePass crash and burn and reward maybe somebody like AMC who kind of sat back and said, hey, that business model isn't going to work long term. They sat back, they watched it, they saw it like, hey, people are really interested in this, but it's like, how can we make sure that we're making a decent amount of money? $20. You need to see about 2 to 3 movies to pay that off.
A month.
Yes. Well, I mean, 2 to 3 movies to pay off that, $20.
Yeah.
So it's like, you have to be a little bit more diligent, and obviously not everybody's going to be able to every month do that, and so you're going to be making a little bit more money back, whereas, MoviePass, it's like essentially 1 movie.
And the beauty of the AMC Pass is you're guaranteed that every one of those customers is going to come into your theater, and most of them will probably buy a popcorn and a soda, which is where their real money is made.
Well, because you're not having to pay for the movie ticket anymore.
No, so why? Yeah, heck yeah.
Instead of spending $30 for tickets and beverages.
I don't go to the theater. I go to the theater because the popcorn's there.
It's the experience.
Yeah.
That's also why it's nice about the new
Here's who's going to be
and that sort of thing.
Really upset about MoviePass.
We're spending a lot of time on this subject.
Parents buying this for their children for the summer.
Yes.
They're going to be outraged.
Yeah, all of a sudden, $2 extra and stuff like that, or you have to wait a week or 2. They haven't said how long this premium, the surge pricing is going to last.
And how convenient that this surge pricing happened in the summer.
Yeah, it started in July.
The kids are out.
July. So, I mean, anything that's coming out here soon. So, Ant-Man is going to be subject to this more than likely.
Any parent that's stacked their kids up for this one is going to be getting a nasty surprise on their credit card.
Yeah, well, hopefully for their
they've
case,
watched and checked, their news.
So, I guess that's my kind of mini rant. I'm not great at ranting like you, John. I don't go on and on. I just,
Well, mine's more circular, but... but that's
self-fulfilling. To quote the great Peter Griffin, that's what grinds my gears. Stupid things like that. It's like, okay, you keep changing because your business model's not working. You're going to alienate people. You're going to lose people. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, okay, maybe if this AMC thing works, I'll pay $20 to MoviePass if I can get my unlimited viewings of movies back, multiple viewings of movies back, and I'll give up going to be able to see every single day. I'll knock it down to 3 or 4 per week.
If I could go see Star Wars 5 times in the theater for $20, I'm living the dream.
Yeah. Or remember when the first Transformers movie came out? Good thing you worked at the theater.
Yeah, but even that was a pain.
Yes, it was, but it worked out well. We got to see that movie quite a few times.
Way too many times.
Way too many. I don't think I can watch that movie anymore. Like
I get a little sick when I see it on the TV.
It's one of those things. Or like a song where you just listen to it over and over again, and eventually you just become to despise it.
It's in my brain, but I don't want it in my brain.
Yeah.
It's a small world. If you've ever heard that, I think you understand what we're saying.
God of War, John.
Oh, yes.
Our subject of the week, and when I first saw that they were redoing it and switching over to Norse mythology, I was so pumped. I I enjoyed the original trilogy. I even played God of War Ascension. I didn't play any of the PSP games. Obviously, I didn't have a PSP.
games, I mean, if you played the PlayStation 2 games, essentially the PSP games felt the same. Because I played those, didn't complete either of them. I know, shocking. But gameplay was great.
You also didn't complete
Story
1
was
or
great.
2.
I watched you play 1 and 2. I wasn't going to go back and re-see what I already saw.
But I was psyched about this. I know you kind of had, I guess, some hesitations a little bit about it, just because 3 was the only one you beat.
3 was the only one I beat and actually thoroughly enjoyed.
Yeah. But obviously this one, they told us they were going to kind of retool the way things worked. It was a little bit more RPG-like as opposed to the initial one.
RPG, super light.
Yeah. That's what I said,
super light.
RPG-like.
Yes.
It had elements of more RPG stuff as opposed to
you can get armor, and then it gets on your character, and then it shows up in the cutscene.
The amulets and runes.
Why anyone in this day and age doesn't let the armor you accrue show up in the next cutscene just makes me really irritated. I got that. I want to see it. I don't want to have it just magically be in the background, invisible. Oh yeah, your stats are up. I want to see it.
Anyway, a lot of hype coming into this one. Initial reviews started coming out, and everybody's like, you need to play this, you need to play this. I was already sold. And I know you eventually were as well.
I was waiting for the reviews, because it
as soon as
looked
they
good
came
on
out,
the trailer.
I was actually a little nervous, because I waited until the reviews came out to pre-order mine, just because I was still paying off Christmas, gifts and stuff like that. So that was when the money came back around, and Amazon was sold out, so I set a reminder.
Day one digital, man.
Yeah, well, I wanted to get that Prime discount.
Oh, yeah.
So I set a reminder, and luckily it came back up, and I was able to get it delivered, day of release. But good Lord, did Sony Santa Monica knock this one out of the ballpark? I know everybody's heard all about it already, but I just want to give my 2 cents on that. And I won't get into right now, my all-time favorite game, but this is up there. But it is by far my favorite PS4 game.
Easily.
It's not even close.
Right now, until The Last of Us 2 comes out.
Yes.
This is the game for the PlayStation.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you have a PlayStation, you owe it to yourself to, at the very least, rent it. But you should really just go buy it.
Just buy it. Just Cory Barlog and his team at Sony Santa Monica just crush it. I mean, I know it took 5 years to make. Yeah. Just, it's worth purchasing. I'm not giving up my copy.
I'm not condoning buying the used copy, but if, time's tough, I understand.
I think it's worth giving Sony the money on this one.
It was on sale. I don't know if it's still on sale, but it was on sale.
Just based on the hype around it and how everything's gone, I don't know how it's not the favorite for Game of the Year right now.
I don't know what would be over the top of it for Game of the Year.
Everything about this game was
gameplay, nailed it. Story, nailed it. Pacing, nailed it. Emotion, nailed it.
The aesthetics,
nailed it.
Just everything.
Nailed it.
And looking back at the original trilogy, Kratos was a pretty one-dimensional character.
Very flat.
He was angry. Come on up here. Yes. Or Zeus, or Athena, yeah. The list goes on.
Lots of rage.
And this one we see a different Kratos. You're introduced to the game.
A Kratos that was hinted at the ending of God of War 3.
Yes, indeed. And I like that, times pass, he's found this new life, he, found a wife, had
another son.
So you're introduced to this game, the mother has died.
Shocking.
Yeah.
That never happens.
That seems to happen to Kratos. A little surprised son didn't, son wasn't dead too.
Luckily he didn't kill the wife this time. Spoilers maybe? But
no. If you haven't played the game by now,
it's a little late.
I don't. We'll have to discuss here in a little bit the big.
We're spoiling the game right now.
Yeah.
So please stop and go buy it and then come back.
By the way, if you don't want to hear spoilers, good time to stop this. Play the game. Come back because there are some big reveals that we're going to talk about that really got just in the way that they were revealed, just incredible. So we will continue. Spoilers.
I guess let's start with what was the favorite part of the game for you?
Everything.
If you had to pick one moment where you were like, holy shit.
The end. I mean, it has to be. Everything comes to a head.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you go to Jotunheim, the land of the giants.
Which I didn't even know about, because I don't know a lot about Norse mythology.
I knew enough, a little bit, you know, here and there to kind of get what was happening. Jotunheim, the land of the giants, Alfheim, home of the elves, Midgard, humans, and...
I guess I kind of knew that from Marvel, but I didn't really.
It was that sort of thing, and then... You know, you go through the land, you know, there's no giants, obviously. You go through that giant room, and all of a sudden the paintings reveal themselves, and it's Kratos.
It just looks like a barren cave.
Atreus' journey. And...
Not just their journey, their life's... Well...
It's their journey.
Atreus' life story as well.
Well, yeah, I was going to say it's their journey, and then as they're leaving, it reveals, you know, future. It has, you know, Atreus' future and stuff like that. And you find out the mother was a giant, and it's still kind of like, okay, you go up to the top, and, you know, you spread the mother's ashes, and you see all the dead giants littering the landscape. And
they are massive.
They're huge. They are indeed giants. And it's just like, okay. I was like, it's kind of a somber ending, and, like, things like that. So then you start walking back down the mountain as the credits roll, because you have to get back to the gate.
But you're still in control of the game's still going. The credits are just superimposed, and
yes.
Which I thought was a nice touch.
It was fantastic. And then all of a sudden, Atreus kind of looks at Kratos and he's like, I don't get one thing. And that's the name that keep popping up. It wasn't my name.
Yeah.
And all of a
comes.
sudden he says, it kept saying, Loki.
I was like,
and that was when I lost. That was when I lost my shit. John, I was talking to John while that was happening, and I'll clean up what I said a little bit, and I was like, oh my. Oh, what the...
Expletives.
And I was like, John, you need to beat this game.
He kept hounding me for like 2 weeks.
Which you were busy, and I wasn't at the time, so...
Took me another 2 weeks.
But I just was like, holy crap, and then going back and looking at certain things, and it's like, that was right there the whole time, because if you don't know anything about Norse mythology, Loki is a half giant.
Yeah.
Half god. And so obviously this is their own little universe that they've created in the God of War
where he's still
games.
Half god.
He's still half god, and he's still half giant.
And still half giant, but he's not half god from...
the Norse side of things, or whatever. And I was just like, oh, man. And I was just like, man, these... I was like, there's so much more. Good. I needed more of that story right away. I was like, I need to know how this plays out right now.
So what did you do? Did you go maybe home?
Well, yeah. I mean, that was. Well, I didn't do that right away necessarily. Okay. I was kind of like, oh, maybe I can do some things, and it was like, oh, go home, and I was like, whatever.
Because it never backs you out. The credits roll, and once they're done, you're still in the game.
You can do whatever. And that was sort of the next get hype moment, which I'll let you explain that one if you want, but...
I can explain that one, and then I'll tell you one of my favorite moments.
Yeah, well, or we can, take together. So it gives you the option, it's like, they just kind of offhand mention, like, oh, maybe we should go home and rest now.
So Kyle's like, I'm going to do stuff, because he didn't know. And then
because I like to complete everything.
And then I was just trying to beat the game so he would shut up. So I go, do I need to do anything else after the credits start rolling? And he's like, go home. So I went home. And I even used the fast travel, I think, to go home. Because I had to go home. And then I walked in, and they're like, oh my gosh, what a journey. And they go, and they sleep, and it fades. And I was like, okay, so is the game going to end? And then, whoosh, 3 years later, massive storm, lightning everywhere, booming, and some voice from outside, yelling, blah, blah, blah. And Kratos grabs his trusty axe at this point and walks out there. And there's this guy, and he's got all this, crow stuff on. And I didn't know what the heck.
Raven.
Okay, whatever. They're both black. Raven stuff on. And I didn't know what that was. And then, all of a sudden I see the hammer. And I was like, oh my gosh!
Well, and it was sort of a slow pan up to
Yeah, it was
the
a
hammer.
slow pan up to the hammer. I was like, I gotta fight Thor! And then it stops.
Well, and just, I guess this goes back to the storytelling. That, yeah, absolutely got me hyped. We only saw, essentially, 3 Norse gods, or, I guess...
Well, if you count Mimir and the
Mimir,
witch...
Thor's sons, Magni and Modi,
The
the
witch.
which we'll get to that in a sec,
Yeah.
and then Balder.
Balder, yes.
5. 6, if you count Loki.
And 7 if you count the Ghost of Sparta. Because he's apparently taking the place of the war guy. Just for this.
There's plenty of war gods in Norse mythology, so... but, it just sort of harkened back to what the storytelling of this. We didn't see many gods.
No.
It's a big pantheon in Norse mythology.
And in 3, I fought practically every god.
Oh yeah,
possible.
plus Titans, plus,
Plus Hades, I don't know how many times you have to fight that guy.
Yeah, a lot.
It's ridiculous.
But they had mentioned that, Ragnarok, obviously a big part of Norse mythology, it's when Asgard will fall, to Surtur, the fire giant, and...
But the giants are already dead.
Fire giants, man. Muspelheim.
Oh, there's different ones.
Yes, there
I
are.
didn't go there. I had to finish the game.
You didn't do that, or...
Apparently I have things to look forward to.
Niflheim. But they mentioned that the long winter before Ragnarok was coming. The last winter before Ragnarok. And they said, oh, how long is... I think Atreus kind of asked offhand Mimir. And he's like, oh, it's about 3 years away. Mm-hmm. So that clash with Thor is kind of, I guess, maybe signaling the start of Ragnarok.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh man, I just there's so many things I want to see. I want to see how things play out with Atreus / Loki. I want to see, what happens with Kratos. You want to see Odin. You want to see Thor. You want to.
We never saw Odin.
All of them, yeah. I mean, the storytelling in this was just incredible.
Do you know what I like about the storytelling? Speaking of,
what?
Mimir and his role.
The narrative he added was incredible.
So you get to these sections where you get to go on a boat to travel around the hub, as it were. And Mimir's his head's just floating there. Because he's stuck in a tree, you chop his head off, you take him to a witch, she reanimates it.
Wearing him on your belt.
He's on your belt when you're on land. He's on the bench on the boat when you're on the boat. And so he sits there, and the boy asks questions. And Mimir tells stories of Norse mythology. And I was like, okay, he's going to continue, right? I get to shore, and Kratos goes,
That's enough.
That's enough. Stories are for the boat. In my horrible Kratos voice. And I was like, damn it. So I went and did my thing, half expecting to have to rehear everything he just said. And I get back in the boat, and I send myself into the water, and he picks right back up where he left off.
Well, and he literally says, oh, so where was I?
Yeah! And then the boy kind of clues him back in, and he goes. And I'm like, holy shit, this game is amazing. It's got context. Not just context of it's explaining things that are happening, but context of the player did X, so now Y needs to happen.
Yeah, well, and Mimir does a great job of saying the Norse gods are not good people.
They're horrible people.
They're all deeply, deeply flawed, and he kind of tells the story of how Odin is not this great person. Thor's an asshole.
Family ruiners.
Obviously, Magni and Modi, his sons, you have encounters with them, you dispatch them. Really, I guess,
kind of
for a God of War game, you only kill 3 gods, and that's pretty tame for Kratos.
It's ridiculously tame. I mean...
And just the storytelling, other, oh my god moments was, you meet the Witch of the Woods, who is, practicing the old magics.
Lives under a giant turtle named Charlie.
And then it turns out, later on, you find out, oh, she's not just a witch. That's the goddess Freya, who...
Queen of the Valkyries?
Yeah, Queen of the Valkyries. And there's debate over... There's some people that believe Freya and Frigg Odin's wife are the same person.
Whatever.
And even Mimir mentions that.
Mimir says he marries lots of people. He's
Yeah,
married more than once.
They're,
So
like we said, they're
it's
deeply
possible.
flawed humans, gods, whatever. But that was like kind of like, oh shit. That was another one of those moments. And there's all sorts of those moments, but the way that Kratos' distrust of the gods, when he finds out that Freya is that the witch is Freya and she's a goddess,
instantly wants nothing to do with her.
Flips out. And
super mad.
It's just such great storytelling this whole time, and Baldur.
Mimir keeps trolling him.
Yes, Baldur, the main antagonist of the story, so to speak, is actually the son of Freya, who did something when he was a child to protect him from all harm.
Yeah, Freya gave him basically invincibility, and so he couldn't be killed.
Going back into Norse mythology is incredible, because in Norse mythology, it is Loki that doesn't kill him directly, but tricks him into essentially his death with mistletoe.
Yeah, weird.
The one thing he's vulnerable to is mistletoe. And so at one point, these dwarf brothers, who also happen to have forged Mjolnir, Thor's hammer.
Yep. And help forge the axe that Kratos uses in the game.
Make him mistletoe arrows. When Freya sees this, she freaks out,
snaps
breaks them.
all of them.
But that wasn't before Kratos repaired Atreus' quiver.
Which she missed.
Yes, using one of the arrowheads.
Mm-hmm.
And that epic fight, and all of a sudden, he goes to stab him.
Gets cut.
Baldur gets, stabbed in the hand with that arrowhead.
And his invincibility is gone.
At which point Kratos goes Kratos on him.
and Kratos, to his credit, he's a changed man, so he lets him walk. And then...
But then he keeps going.
But, Baldur, in his hatred for his mother of what he's done, tries to kill his mom. And Kratos has done with this killing of people just because you're upset with them. So he basically snaps the guy's neck in half, and then that makes Freya mad because it was her son, and she'd rather die than have him die, because she put the invincibility on him. Anyway, long story. The great part is pretty much every main thread that happens in the story, whether it's to Kratos or his son or to supporting characters, gets resolved at the end of this game. And then new things happen to tease you to get ready for the second game, which is, to me, really good storytelling. When you can take a story and find it to its conclusion in one game, but also leave room for expanding arcs that help to further develop characters and expand their journey and their process, that is way better than leaving me on a giant cliff wondering if anything's going to get fixed and hating having to buy another game.
It reminds me a little bit the way it ended of the Mass Effect games, where you tidy up everything in that game, the overarching, storylines of that game. In the first one, there's
little snippets of things that are left.
Right, but the overarching theme of
But they're usually really big things, like wars, like conflicts from wars get left because it's war.
The greatest threat is still out there, even though it cleans up each
section gets cleaned.
And this reminded me of that, where it's like it had everything, and they've obviously they have the green light to go ahead and work on the next game.
I'm sure they've got green light for the rest of whatever they want.
I'm pretty sure anything series. Cory Barlog wants to keep doing with the series, he's going to be like, go for it.
Sony's just going to write him a check.
Yeah, just keep cutting those checks, Sony. That's all we ask. We can't lose.
Can't lose Naughty Dog, and we've now seen you can't lose Sony Santa Monica.
Yeah, it's an incredible game all around, and if you haven't played it, play it. I don't know why you're listening to us if you haven't played it, but holy crap, it's just pure excellence. And one of the best things too is it's a single story. There's no multiplayer. There's not going to be any DLC. It's a self-contained $60 gets you the whole story.
They said that up front. People asked, they were like, "Is there DLC?" And they're like, "What are you talking about?
Just wait for the next game."
No, we made the game,
which is beautiful.
Go play.
And they are going to add some things. New Game Plus. With some, a higher difficulty, essentially, you can do.
Which, thank you. Because that's what I like, is when I get to repeat the game with stuff. That's why I love Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah. So they're going to do that. there's not a whole lot else coming. You're going to be able to, I guess, maybe switch a little button mapping if you'd like.
Yeah.
For the rage mode and stuff like that. But
just improvements.
It was a complete game,
Mm-hmm.
which I loved. And we're going on here a while, so I want to kind of move things away from the incredible storytelling and the way it played and things like that, which just, it was all flawless. That's all that needs to be said. It was flawless, and it was worth every penny, and it's definitely going to be a game I'm going to go back and play again. I might not do all the side stuff that I did before, I might just play through the story, but
I will say,
it's just such a rewarding journey.
If you are a hardcore fan of the original God of War, please do not be afraid to pick this game up. Because my actual favorite moment of the entire game is when you're fighting a dragon, and it's a big scale battle. I mean, you're climbing on it, you get thrown into an arena, it's looming over you, you're dodging things, fire, paws, tails, all this stuff that flies around. Really great. And at the very end, you kill it, and it comes hurtling down towards Kratos, and he just stands there like a badass. And it's just, you're like, oh my gosh, it's gonna smash him. This Kratos is gonna die because he's being an idiot. And then he's standing directly in between the mouth of the dragon. The jaws just are split perfectly that he doesn't even get touched. And he's unimpressed with this whole thing, turns around, wipes his axe off, and just continues to go about his business. And that is essential God of War at its core, which is he's unfazed. This is his business. This is what he does.
I just the entire game, I mean, is just fantastic moments, and
once that hit, I was like, I'm in.
It's a game that, one of the few games, I'm a multitasker. I like to have Netflix going on my iPad while I play games.
I cannot do.
I know. I'm weird like that, but this was a game where I did not have anything going. I wanted to be fully invested, and it was worth every second. It was, I would have, this game was worth more than $60 probably.
Easily.
But it was just a fantastic thing, and
I felt like I was...
Cory Barlog and his team just did a fantastic job, and
he also helped direct some of the other God of Wars, so he's not new.
But this is his first one that he's been solely in charge of.
And
he's
had
the
full direction, and his full input was what was driving this whole thing.
And what makes me love him even more is that he has ideas in his head for 5 more games. He says they're not going to necessarily do 5 more games.
But he's got ideas.
And that's fantastic. And this game also teased Egyptian mythology.
God of War's back and back to stay.
Yeah, it's not going anywhere, and especially if they continue with this incredible narrative that they have going and telling the story like they have, as opposed to the first couple games where it was more about the action and the fighting and stuff like this. Whereas this one, obviously the fighting's still a very big thing, but this one put a ton of focus on the storytelling, and that made it so much more rewarding to...
On top of all of that old gameplay you already like.
Yeah, absolutely. They switched it up a little bit, obviously adding some stuff with Atreus, but just an incredibly done game, and Cory Barlog with more ideas. There's rumors that he'd like to go into the Egyptian mythology and potentially other mythologies. It was teased in,
potentially,
I believe,
Celtic?
Potentially. But, I don't know that he'll have, time. It won't take 5 years to make each game, but obviously...
No.
This one was a lot of, mapping things out, getting your ideas out, and now that they have a direction...
They've got the base ground, and they've got the base game mechanics, and so they're good to go.
I look at it sort of like Uncharted, where they have it. They have their universe.
They've got it nailed down now.
Yeah, and so now you're just adding the next chapter to the story you've already started.
If you hadn't played Lost Legacy, you owe it to yourself to play Lost Legacy.
That's a subject for another day. God of War. If you're gonna give it a rating, it's got to be and nothing less than 10 out of 10. I'd probably give it a 13 out of 10. It was just incredible. I don't like the necessarily the numbers, but it was worth every penny, every second invested into it.
A perfect game with perfect execution. at the right time.
The rare, perfect game, and I like the fact that it came out sort of on its own, not a lot around it.
Nothing.
So it was, there was nothing to distract me, and it was worth the investment. I haven't, platinumed it yet. I haven't 100%ed everything. I'm gonna go back and do that for sure at some point in time. Here during the summer lull, hopefully. But oh man, just incredible. And so I think that'll kind of, unless you have anything else to add, we can wrap up this. We'll talk about what we're playing, and we will end this podcast.
I give God of War 1 because it's the only game you should play this year.
I don't know, Spider-Man's coming out.
The only game you should play this year.
All right, so
if you only have $60, Spider-Man will get cheaper.
It will.
I can't guarantee the God of War game is going to get cheaper this year.
Also, the fastest, highest selling exclusive in the PS4 generation.
Oh yeah, it's doing good. It's doing gangbusters.
And it's deserved every accolade it's gotten. So with that'll wrap up our God of War review, discussion. I don't know, but it was fantastic. And with that, John, tell me what you're playing.
Well, probably going to maybe mention Battlefront 2 next week. It was $18 during E3, so I finally bought it. Playing through the story right now.
Initial feelings. You don't have to get into much detail, just...
It's worth $20.
Okay.
That's my initial feelings.
That's fair. I have not played a lot. I was busy this last week. Family friend getting married. I was very involved in the getting things ready to go and running the show and stuff like that. So didn't have a ton of time to play, but I did play a little bit more of the Lego Marvel Superheroes 2 game, and
that's also on sale.
It's
on
growing
Switch right now.
Yeah, it's growing on me a little bit more than it did initially. I think when we talked about it last week.
Okay.
Played a little bit more MLB The Show just into the night, where I was just trying to kill a few more seconds until like my phone was done charging or something like that. Mm-hmm. Because I don't like pulling my phone off the charger at 95%.
He's a stickler.
So, I am. So, it's like, play a game or two while it finishes the 5%, and then that's about it. I guess I played some Minecraft again. I was just messing around on story mode, or not story mode, the creative mode, and eventually I'll have to show you what it is, but I've made a giant interconnected sort of series of things, and there's lots of lava and gold, so always fun to make ludicrous things on that game. So that's what I've been playing, and I'll probably work some more on Lego Marvel Superheroes 2 and hopefully Wolfenstein 2 this week while I am home. I'll be gone over the weekend, but during the weekdays, hopefully I can spend some time in the evenings playing those games. And I guess that'll wrap things up. So, John, any final thoughts for the day?
Final thoughts.
I know what it is. Buy a Switch. That's always his thought. So,
what are you doing? If you don't own one, you need to be saving up for one. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, and we'll be back again every Monday with a new podcast. So come in, join us on our fun, and with that, we'll say, see you next time.
Adios.